On YouTube.
on YouTube, on everywhere. YouTube, Facebook, you know, LinkedIn, Twitter. We're going live everywhere, right?
Okay.
Okay, so you're here. If you're watching me, if you're seeing me, we're going live everywhere. We're transmitting directly from Java One. So as soon as you can see me, I'm just going to take a look to see if we can actually. I can just do this for a little bit. How about we start with a little 1 minute? All right. Okay. So we're now live. So if you can see us, if you can hear us, just give us a chat, a message in the chat, right? So we're streaming this everywhere. Streaming this on LinkedIn, on YouTube. I'd like to thank So Java because we're linking on So Java's stream. So thanks a lot, So Java, for letting us do that. And I'm here directly from Java One, the premier Java conference, right? And I'm here with a couple of nice people here, right? There's Josh right here and Heather. So we're gonna do some interviews, career interviews, and we're gonna you to participate, right? So for now, I'm just gonna let Heather start with a little conversation here, Heather, and that should give me time to tweet the link. All right.
Okay.
So with you guys, Heather Vancouver.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm here at the Hacker Garden at Java One in Las Vegas. First time in Las Vegas for Java One. And I'm here with Josh Juno. And we have a session today about career stories. So, telling and building your career stories and how developers have advanced their careers. And obviously, Josh, you are someone who's well known in the community and have had great success in your career as well as in the Java developer community. So, Bruno and I want to hear from you, and hopefully, others are going to learn from what you have to say in terms of your career. And some of the things that I think we're looking for in terms of things developers ask about or have questions about, and I think that relates most to your career in terms of where have there been some significant events, or where has there been impact in your career. I think a couple of things that Josh and I identified were around participating in open source projects, and where that led in your career. And I think I know from talking to you, significant to you was authoring a book. So that's this kind of story we're heading for here. But first, welcome, Josh, and thank you. Maybe first of all, tell us just a little bit about you and your career and what you're doing now.
Well, first, I really appreciate you having me, Heather and Bruno. I'm very honored to be here. And so I am an application developer by day. I also am a database administrator. That's my full-time job. But in the off time, I work a lot in open source, and I also do a lot of authoring articles, books, and so forth. So that's where I spend most of my time. I also do lots of podcasting. I have a couple of podcasts that I am a regular on, so I enjoy doing that as well.
Podcasting is really popular now.
It is. It's fun, and it's, I think, a good platform to be heard and to make it.
Mhm. So I think in your career, when I asked you earlier, I'll ask you again now. So, what really do you think was a significant point in your career when you look back at, when you were earlier in your career? What was maybe a story we can share about, an inflection point or significant event that really made your career start to advance and start to move in the direction that you're in at this point?
Sure. So I did lots of work with Java and learned it on my own, basically, through the tutorials, which were great. And I was interested in learning other languages on the JVM, so I kind of got into Jython because I was familiar with Python at the time. And I started to get involved in the mailing list and started to speak with some of the developers, asked what I could do to help contribute. And first, I started contributing with the website, totally redesigned the website for Jython. And so we got that up and running. And then I started to work on the Django on Jython project. I was one of the leads on that. So made a pretty good impact in that community, starting off with Django. And then from there, they had asked me to be the lead author on the Jython book. So I went ahead and worked with APRES and got into authoring there, and that kind of kickstarted my authoring career.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It was. It really happened quick, and I enjoyed every minute of it because I enjoyed working with the Jython and the community and making those connections with others in the community. It was a big deal. Very important.
And sometimes I think developers often say, I want to get started. I want to participate in open source. I think that's a very common topic that people bring to us when we talk about careers. But there is often almost that there's a desire, but not knowing how or being able to take that first step. So I think you touched on it a little bit when you said you joined the mailing list. Like what was it that got you motivated to actually take action, take that first step, and maybe break it down a little bit in terms of how you got initiated into the community, and then it all just kind of built organically from there?
Sure. I started off by asking a few questions on the mailing lists, because I had questions about the technology, and then began to interact with the members in the group. And then they slowly said, "Hey, you've got some good ideas. Why don't you help?" And so that's exactly what I did. I started to contribute back, and it just kind of went on from there. And then if you've followed me at all out there, I've got a few books. And so that was my first book, and I was interested in continuing that. So I worked with a couple of people in the publishing industry and had some ideas, and they liked the ideas. So I just continued to pitch new ideas, and they liked them. And so I would write books about them, and really getting that foot in the door really helped with that part of it. And then to kind of build upon that, I did know lots of people from the conference space because I started to attend meetups, jug sessions, and then conferences. And so you start to make connections and networking, not only meeting people online through the mailing lists and through the different projects, but then meeting face to face makes a big impact, and it's very important. And I was then asked to start writing articles, and so I then began to do some articles, working with the books, articles, and then I got interested in other open source as well. So started to contribute to even more projects. I think just being a part of the community is really what got me into so many different areas. Really helped my career.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
And it
so-
sounds like too. Bruno has something to add, but I was going to say it sounds like too. Along the way, you're expressing or verbalizing your thoughts and ideas, and sharing your intentions, right? About like, I want to write a book. I have
Yes.
these ideas, and getting feedback from people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, indeed. You have to not be afraid to provide your feedback, provide input. If you sit back and listen, and don't ever speak up and provide any feedback, nobody will hear it. So I think that's important that you get involved and communicate, and don't be afraid to share your opinions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think some people think that maybe their opinion isn't significant enough, or they don't have enough experience, and so they're reluctant. Or then on the other side, they assume people know they want to be an author, right? Or they should know they want to contribute to an open source project, and so they're waiting to be asked. But yeah,
And it's really important also to take those steps and go out to your jug or to a conference if you can, and you'll probably see people walking around that you have met online or that you've seen somewhere before, and don't be afraid to just go out and introduce yourself, because that's how connections get started.
all
I
right.
met Bruno that way. I met
Bruno
you
has
that
something
way.
to say.
Same way.
All right, so let me first of all let me just tell you, if you're watching this here, I see there's some people watching us. I see Baslur, it's another Java champion, right? He's asking a question here, so I'm gonna go for his question first, and then I'm gonna get to my question here. So Baslur says, don't you think that progressing in your career after a certain point is more art than science? Not every recipe works for everyone. For example, some people may have less or equivalent experience, but for careers while you are stuck. Do you have you had that feeling that people were growing and you're stuck? Have you personally had that feeling before?
Yeah, it can be at some points. You can feel intimidated, by others moving ahead and advancing, and you're stuck. But I think at that point you have to reach out and do some work to learn more technology, or learn more in depth about the technology you're already working with, and just try to kind of engage yourself and learn more so that you can produce more.
Right. So thanks a lot, Baslur. It's great that you have here with us. So Josh, there's one question I want to ask, because I get this question asked a lot. So many development, you're talking about participating in open source and contributing in podcasts, all those things. Many developers tell, but that's not development. I mean, that's extra things, right? But do you think that doing those things makes you a better developer? Because people say, all I want to do is be a better developer. I want to do is grow, and so, and then you're doing all those things. Those things seems to be detracting from the goal, right? It seems to be wasting time doing podcasts and writing books instead of becoming better. How do you feel about that?
I don't think it's a waste of time at all, because I'll tell you what, I do enjoy writing books and articles because it keeps me well informed of what's coming up or what's new. In order to write a book or to write an article, you have to be very knowledgeable about the subject. And I've never written a book or an article where I didn't learn at least one or two things, because you're always going out and learning more, and reaching out to the community and finding out more information. And that's one way to help further your development. It's very important. And then another thing is that with the podcasts, one of my favorite times of the month is when I get together with my friends and discuss Java and discuss things that I like to talk about, because I learn what they've been up to, what is new in their world, learn about things I've never even heard about. So every month I'm learning new when I record the podcasts, and every time I do a new article or book, I'm furthering my development.
Cool. It's awesome. All right, guys. So any question that you have, please send a question to us here, right? Feel free to ask questions on the chat. Whatever you're watching this, right? If you're watching on Facebook or LinkedIn, just type on as a reply to this post right here. If you're watching on YouTube, that's the easiest way for us here to connect back with you. So if you're watching on YouTube, just ask your questions and then we go on. How about here, guys? And do you have any question for Josh?
You want what for Josh?
Yeah, there's any question for
What
him,
about-
right?
what
So
about- well, I have a question. Another
Yeah.
question. I already asked questions, but
yeah, go
maybe
ahead.
share a little bit about some impacts that you think you've made in your career as a result of being involved in these open source projects and as a result of writing these articles and writing books and having the podcast. Any significant?
Probably the first big impact I had was with the redesign of the Jython website, because that impacted the whole community. It rejuvenated the Jython language back then, and I think it made a big impact on the community. With respect to the books and the articles, I hope I'm having an impact where people are enjoying the content and learning from what I have to offer. I know one thing that I've had a big impact is with the mailing list. That's one of the easiest things you can do, is get involved by providing feedback to the different communities out there and giving insight on your perspective. That definitely provides a good impact because you can further along those technologies.
And it's impacted your career as well. It benefited your career.
It did. It did. Helped me learn more. Like I had mentioned, every time I do things, I learn more. And so it does make a big impact on on the future of my career.
Being fulfilled in your career, I would think as well.
Yeah, I feel like I'm making progress, as I continue on with my career, and I'm not just stalled and not advancing.
Right. Any questions from our audience?
Question to Josh.
No, but
How much time a week do you spend in open source versus actual work?
So how much time you spend a week, on open source versus, doing your work?
It's a good question. It changes by week. It's never a constant. If I have more time free in 1 week, I may spend a few hours on open source. If I don't have any time, there's some weeks that go by where I don't spend any time on it. It just kind of depends. And that's one of the things about open source that I think is similar for everyone. It just is. It's one of those things where people will make a big impact when they have the time, and it's just nature that sometimes you get busier with other activities or your full-time jobs or whatever it may be, and you don't have as much time to commit to that open source. But you should still continue to stay engaged, and then as time allows, make your contributions. Thank you.
great question.
Okay.
I don't know if you'll answer that one, but it was the impact of community.
Okay, so what next question? What was the impact of community on your career?
It's a significant impact. The community, every day, being here today, talking with all my fellow developers and people in the community, I learned new things about what people are doing, and so I'll go out and I'll research those different things and learn more, and maybe I'll get more into that avenue, maybe not. But it's always good to engage community and work with others that are doing similar things, so that even if they're not similar, if somebody's working on a different tech that I'm not familiar with, I still like to try and understand what they're doing and why, and that might be something I'm interested in looking further into. So community is very important. Feedback to other individuals, and just always communicating with your peers. Thank you.
Okay. Awesome. So put your hands together to Josh.
All right.
Woo-hoo.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Okay.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay,
I
thank
think we
you.
got you right on time.
Yeah.
All
Josh
right.
has to head out. Thanks, Josh.
Yes, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. So now, since we have a 1 minute here, so you can come here. So how about we rearrange things because
Okay.
we're too
Closer?
far away? Yeah,
Okay.
get close a little bit here.
Okay.
Right. I'm still gonna
Okay.
try to be a little bit off.
Yeah. Okay. We can't see you.
I know, but
Okay.
because I still need to be a little bit off, but
Okay. All right. Should we welcome our next guest?
Yes, I welcome our next guest. Can you
Okay.
introduce him?
Okay. Next up, we have Edwin, who is a Java champion. I'll let him come introduce himself, among many other things. But I know from talking with Edwin earlier today that one of the most impactful things in his career was becoming a Java champion. So I mentioned that first. But welcome to Edwin.
Hey, Edwin, good to have you here with us.
Thank you.
All
It's
right.
nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
So, Edwin, let me say one thing. Josh was speaking very soft.
Yeah.
So, be a speaker here and project your voice so everyone can hear as well. All right. Okay. So, come on, Heather, you start.
Okay. I'm starting. So first, Edwin, tell us a little bit about yourself in terms of, where do you work and, what's a little bit of your career journey?
Yeah.
And what's your role currently?
Yeah. So my name is Edwin Dirks. I'm consultant at Team Roxers IT in the Netherlands. It's a consultancy company from about 500 people.
Yep.
And I have a Java developer background. I started professionally developing in 2007, but over the years I grew all the way from Java developer to architect and now more as a consultant.
Oh.
Because with every step I tend to find out that I'm more of a problem solver and a manager than a developer per se. But this technical leverage of package that I have is really useful for finding the right solutions to the big problems companies have in IT. So I'm making myself useful with mostly consulting, but also inspiring and helping, coaching colleagues, also becoming experts in their field. So
very exciting.
Yeah.
Well, that's quite a career journey you've had.
Yeah.
And I know from talking to you when we said, what is some moment that you think really became that point where your career started to accelerate and advance?
Yeah. So the first one I think was the moment I started to do open source development, because I heard Josh talk about that, so I want to cover that first. All the way to until I started to visit conferences and talk to people about open source development. I was like, okay, I'm a developer, I need to develop and get knowledge, but also develop. But I heard about open source development, but never thought it was something for me. But then I got convinced by someone that I still have a lot of contact with today, Emily Yang from the microprofile community. And she said, okay, you have to join us because you can do this and that and that. I was like, okay, I will try that, So, but this was the point that my understanding of software development, and that's what the point that I want to make. My understanding of software development goes this, and I met so many new people that I learned from, not only around me in the Netherlands, but also from all over the world. So much new knowledge just by joining an open source project is really, really valuable. So open source is not just about development or whatever. It's the community that you can learn and inspire, and that's really the thing for me. And that I think ultimately led me being included in the Java Champions community, because apparently I had something to share with people that people like to hear, and now I'm a Java Champion, so that gives me more leverage and a label to also inspire other people to do this stuff,
Right.
So being what's the word, an advocate of open source. I think this is just not only important for one's own self education, but also for people around you, and I think that's part of a thriving community, having these people.
Definitely. And what were some of your early contributions? So you say you joined the community, started contributing to open source. What were some of the first things that you did when you joined? You say you joined and started participating.
Yeah.
Tell us about some of your first contributions.
Did the first thing you did change the whole project, right? So
No,
because a lot of people that want to contribute to open source, right? So a lot of people, it's gonna get here. So a lot of people want to contribute to open source. They think that, oh yes, for me to contribute, I need to be so good, it's so amazing
Yeah,
that I need to be able to change the whole project. Otherwise, I have nothing to contribute.
yeah.
So how about you? What
No,
what happened for
Exactly
you?
what you said. That perception, that was the perception that I had. I need to know a lot of stuff because otherwise I'm not worthy. No, I just started with joining mailing list and see what was there. I started to joining meetings to hear what people were talking about, and then slowly but surely got into some pull requests from documentation and a little bit of code and participating in the process of releasing stuff. So gradually understanding what was going to be needed or done in the certain community, that gave me the self-confidence that I really could contribute, but not leaping too far, but going along with the flow and then trying to find my way and my position there. So everybody can contribute, even if it is just giving your opinion on something, right? So if you are using a technology and it's open source, you have the ability to shape the future of that technology because you have a voice in that. If you don't voice your voice, you're not going to need a feature, or you're not going to get a feature that you might want in that technology. So it's a safe environment to just ask what you want, and if you cannot provide it yourself, maybe other people will develop it for you. But if you want to contribute by, oh, I have built this feature, do you want it? If it's a good feature, it gets accepted, and you have provided something yourself, so you can do all kinds of stuff. It's not just that you need to provide code; it's just be there. It's already valuable.
I think too, yeah, as you're in the community, you're building trust and
Yeah.
becoming known, and then you're increasing the chances that when you have something to contribute, it's going to be accepted.
Exactly. Yes.
All right, so I see Bazlur has asked a question here. So let me tell you, Bazlur, and anyone that's watching here, if you would like to participate with us, if you'd like to be here and tell your story, tell your career story, Bazlur, I know you're a Java champion. You might want to tell us how you got there and tell your story. Anyone else that's joined here, if you have some, look, first of all, I want to say this. Absolutely everyone has an interesting story in your career. They can tell that can help others, right? So me and Heather, we are writing a book about, growing your career. And so if you tell your story for us here, we might include that story in the book, right? So it's a big chance for you to tell your message for other people. So if you want that, what you got to do is that you have to send to me on YouTube or on Twitter. Tell me I want to be part of it, and I'll message back for you on Twitter. So send me your Twitter account on the chat here, and I'll message you back with the link for you to join us here, right? So I see Bruno join us here right now, for example. Bazlur, if you want, I already sent you the connection, Bazlur. So please, man, you can definitely join us here to come and tell your story. Okay, so come on, back to you, Heather.
All right, back to me. I'm going to turn it back to Edwin.
Right.
Okay, so I know also you talked about, right, becoming a Java champion. Well, tell us a little bit in terms of a story. How has being a Java champion impacted your career?
Yeah. Being a Java champion, you get a label, and then you can do stuff with it. You can also decide not to do stuff with it. But it's a label, in my opinion, that you can use to inspire others also to start growing yourself to a certain point that people really recognize you and say, okay, you're now one of the recognized people because you bring something good to a community. So that's how I like to use my Java champion label to inspire others to just overcome the hurdles that you think you're not worthy of, whatever. You have something to participate. You're a champion yourself, even by just doing the right thing. Even if you're not a Java champion, that doesn't matter. But having something to wave with, to people here, start doing this, so that you can tell people that you're proud of them, that they're doing stuff that you think, yeah, this is good. That makes me proud myself, and that makes it, valuable for me to be a Java champion, to inspire others.
Okay. So that's great that you become a Java champion. And one interesting thing that you said, right, and you're totally right. So Java champion is a label, right? And it's an I'd say it's an honor based on the thing you did, right?
Exactly.
Uh, uh, so uh, um, so how do you think you became a Java champion? Why do you think I mean, did you have to do amazing things, or you had to do why do you think you became a Java champion, and how other people can do the same?
Yeah, I think for me, because everybody, I'm sure, has his own story, because there's no Java champion is the same. And that's one nuance I want to make. Not every Java champion knows everything about Java or whatever. We all have our thing. And I have my thing with my years of experience in the Java EE, Jakarta EE microprofile development ecosystem, because I'm consistently advocating why people should use this technology for certain purposes. And being persistently visible on the mailing list and in the sessions, in the meetings, just being there, participating, and always trying to help others out, evolving certain technologies and building a community. And again, I think everything comes down to persistence. Make sure that you're seen and provide something, and then everything will, I think, figure out itself.
Okay, that's very, very cool. All right, so what else, Heather? Or questions?
Well, I'm curious. So
Oh.
it kind of leads a little bit into mentoring, right? So you
Yeah.
talk about what you've enjoyed about one of the things of being a Java champion and having that distinction and honor is inspiring other people, and that kind of is like mentoring them in a certain way. So any particular examples that you want to share where you feel like you've been able to influence?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. Yeah. So I have a company that also wants to find new colleagues for growing the company, but also do our projects, of course. So our company is also a culture and a community. So there are several times that I get asked by a recruiter, can you participate in this conversation, because the person in question is a Java developer, but he wants to know more about Java or whatever. You are the Java champion. Can you help inspire this person to whatever he or she is asking? So coming into these conversations and being the champion, sometimes the people look up to you, but when I get into a conversation and that the level goes back to we are both persons and I have a lot of experience that I want to share with you, we have this beautiful conversation about someone that wants to grow in his career, that looks up to me and asks, can you help me? And I say, yes, certainly. I want to, if possible, mentor you and give you direction in how you can become the best of yourself. And again, to answer your question, that are the moments that I can really use my Java championship to do the inspiration stuff.
Right.
And it's very important.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think you touched on too. So it's not always mentoring that, the mentee is getting something out of it. You're, as the mentor label, is also getting something out of it. And it oftentimes can even be like a peer-to-peer coaching / mentoring. There isn't just a one type of mentoring that's going to benefit.
It's just an example. And ideally, me as a mentor, I don't know everything. So I learn from mentoring people because everybody is different, So I learn every day just by being in the community and being around people and learn from them.
Okay, so Basu has a question here. So I'm gonna paraphrase a little bit here. He said, I know you, but he says, I know we, right? We all know, and I'm sure Basu is the same. We all enjoy working all the time, right? Because we tend to do things that we love. That's a hallmark of the software developer, right? Because we are able to work on things that we love to work on. But how do you find balance between work and life?
Yeah, that's a good question. Sometimes I really ask myself, how do I do all this stuff? Because I also have a wife and 3 little kids at home that are sometimes, they have to do without me for a week. Like I'm a week from home now for this conference. They also have to cope at home, So finding this balance is about giving and taking with the environment that you have. So I have a really good understanding with my wife about what I can do and cannot, and with my employer what I can do and cannot. But within these limits, I just do whatever I think is good because that's my hobby, and my hobby is my work, and vice versa. So I just like doing what I do on a daily basis, and if I can make that work within the boundaries that I have, this just turns out to be the right thing. So it's finding the balance with people that you need to balance with, I guess.
All right. So, if you're watching us here, whatever you are, right? So come on, write in the chat. Tell us where you're watching this from. Ask questions, right? So it would be great to have your questions here so we can improve those conversations. But more than that, if you want to tell your story, if you have an interesting career story, please share it with us. You can share right there, right here on the chat itself, or you can send on the chat your Twitter account, and I'm gonna direct message you with the link for you to join us here live. All right. Okay. Back to you, Heather.
Okay. All right. Well, if we don't have any questions, I think we covered
Yeah.
with Edwin a good part of his story and what he wanted to share here with us
Is there
today.
anything that we
Is there
did not ask
yeah.
you that it was important for your story that you want to share?
Uh,
Let me ask one thing here.
yeah,
You said it was very important for you to mentor other people, right? But have you ever been mentored by others?
yeah.
Have you had the
yeah,
opportunity?
I'm glad you asked because I think about talking about career paths and inspire other people. I have also been inspired by other people, of course. Let's not forget that.
Right.
And not only by people from the community, but also I have a wife that believes in me. I have a manager that believes in me, that pushed me on podia and on conferences all the time because he believes in me, but also people in the community that believe in me, and that made me a Java champion. So I'm also looking up to people and try to learn from them. So it's vice versa. It's not just me. I'm not the center of the universe. I learn from other people as well. So I'm really thankful and grateful for the people that I learn from and that share their experience and feedback with me, because I sometimes hear something that I'm doing wrong. I'm glad that people tell me that I'm doing things wrong because I can then fix things. And that's not always a given. That's a present that you get. So sometimes it's for me also a little bit a scary situation to give feedback to people that are not the best, not the feedback you want to give, but sometimes it feels the right thing to tell someone, hey, maybe you should do this instead of that. And that I hope that turned out to be the right thing. So feedback, inspiration, it all comes together in the right balance.
All right. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Okay. Any more questions here? Question from the audience. You have questions for Edwin? No one has questions for Edwin?
Okay.
All right. So put your hands together.
Edwin.
Thanks.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, man.
For sharing.
And welcome to the Java Champions program.
Thanks.
Is this your first Java 1 that you're a Java champion?
Yeah.
Yes.
Java champion, yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
So welcome to the scene.
Yeah. I hope looking forward to the next time.
Cool. All right. So people are clapping for you. No question. All right. Thanks, man.
Right.
All right. So we are here. Let me tell you this really quick. We are here at Java 1, right? The premier Java conference. Java 1 is back, right? And I see Mario. Hey, Mario. Mimar, right? So let me just kind of tell a little. We are here. I'll walk the conference just so for a little. Yeah. So we are here at the Java 1 conference. There's some people here playing games, right? The conference is, pretty awesome, right? Lots of things going on, lots of talks going on. And we have here in our group several Java champions and open source developers that we are interviewing here to have a conversation, right? So I'm here today with Heather Vancouver, right? She is the head of the PMO, the JCP, right? The program manager officer of the JCP. And so we want you to ask questions, right, for those Java champions, but also we want you to share your story. So I see Mario. Mario, you have an awesome story about open source, right? So, I mean, you have an awesome career story, not about necessarily about open source, but you have an awesome career story, Mario. Mimar, also. So, if any of you want to, you know, so Mimar says, I would love to be there, right? Very special and beautiful moments. You're all great. So Mimar, if you want to share your story, right? You know, I can send. I'm gonna do this, Mimar, because I think I have your contact. I'm gonna send you the link for you to join us here, so you can share your story if you want to. Mario, same thing for you, man. I have your contact. Actually, Mario already sent to you your. You know, if you look in the Discord group, you have access to the link for you to join us here, so you can tell your story. So me and Heather are gonna interview you if you want to. All right. So. Now our next guest is right here, ready, right? And you know, it's funny this because on YouTube is just recording me, right? But here he's recording all of us, right? So whenever whoever watched that video right there is gonna say, but he's already there. Everyone saw him here, right? But not on YouTube. All right. So I have a new guest here with me right now, and it's my good friend Jim Weaver. Hey Jim, how you doing, man?
Hi Bruno, how are you, man?
So good to see
Love
you,
man.
right? So Jim is he works for IBM, right? And now he's a very special. I mean, he's a Java champion, developer evangelist for many companies, many years, has traveled around the world, has gone to so many places. But right now, Jim is the quantum computing man, right? You know, he's a walking quantum computer, right?
Okay.
Almost that, right?
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
so Jim is here with us. So Jim, so good to have you here, man. And let's talk a little bit about. So let me go back to Heather because
Okay.
Heather's the one asking the question.
I am asking the question.
Thanks, Bruno.
All right.
Love you, man.
Man, love you too.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
And like Bruno says, I mean, you and I have known each other for many years
Forever.
as well.
Forever.
Yeah, it feels like
Yes.
it has been forever.
So many years.
But you know what? I don't even, when I think about it just now, is I think I'm not even sure, you know, where your career started. So, you know, maybe you can share with us a little bit about that. We know where you are now. You know, where did your career start? And then,
Oh man, you want to go way back?
well, just a little summary where you started. How'd you get your start? And then we'll go into like what are some moments of,
very important.
and then what are some
Yeah.
moments when you
I
felt
can-
like your career really started to take off?
In the early days?
Yeah.
Okay. So in the early days, I went to school for computer technology, dropped out, and you know, pressures of life, wanting to get married, wanting to start a family, perceiving that I could make more money in the restaurant industry. I kind of put the dream of being a computer scientist on hold, and you know, continued maybe 8 years in the restaurant industry, and but became increasingly unhappy. This was in, you know, the 70s, long time ago, before most
Yeah.
of you were born. But as I was in that industry then, like Bruno, I had a TRS-80. I think you had a TRS-80. Didn't you?
I did have
Yes.
it yesterday. Yes.
Right, yes.
Man, you remember that.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I had a TRS-80 level 1, started out with level 1,
Okay.
16 K of RAM, right?
Yeah, my had 8K. And it was
8K.
I did a huge upgrade because double to 16.
Yes, wow.
Right? It was like it was wild.
Well, I
Yes.
started out with 16, yeah. And then decided to go ahead and create, I think, the first ever restaurant drive-through ordering point of sale system with that, because I wanted to sell that and buy a level 3, actually, Model 3. And so I created an assembly language in Z80, Zilog 80. Did you ever do any Z80 programming?
No, well, you know, I copied Z80 programs
Okay.
from magazines
Okay.
because I was a lot younger than you when I had it.
Got it. No,
You know,
I understand.
You know,
Yeah.
so
So we've established that Bruno's a lot
youngster.
younger
No,
than,
no, no,
the-
no,
than the old guy.
No, 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 no.
I see.
I'm just saying that when you were working your I
You've
was
heard of ageism,
I was
right?
just yeah, right. Okay, so I'm just
No,
kidding
I'm kidding.
myself.
I'm
I
kidding,
know,
brother.
I know.
I love you, man.
I'm saying, I did not have your expertise when I had the TRS.
Oh, I see. That's where you're
Right,
going.
that's
I
what
got
I
it.
was gonna say, right?
Got
So
it, okay.
because you're already studying computer science, right?
Correct. Correct.
And I was not, so all I could do at that time was copy programs from
Copy
magazines.
Got it.
Right,
Got
so
Got it. Yeah. So I decided to, well, on that track.
Mhm.
So this is like ancient history. Nobody cares about it, but
Oh, we all care.
it's ancient history. But back then, when we had our Model Ones,
Yeah.
it was a cassette tape deck that had the program, so they were on cassette tapes.
Right.
So if you had a basic program, that's no problem, right? You just load it, and then you could save it to the
Mhm.
cassette tape.
hmm
If you bought like Space Invaders or something like that, some game that was written in machine language, right? It wasn't a basic program. Then if your tape messed up,
hmm
you are out of luck, right? So you buy a tape, and then you had to buy it again, right? And so I created an application in machine language, actually, Zilog machine language, to copy tapes from one to another. So it would bring in the tape into memory, and then I could save it out to another tape. And so that was so. Anyway, in that kind of era, then I was managing a restaurant and decided to do the point of sale system. So I, mounted the TRS-80 had three components to it, right? The keyboard and the monitor and like tape deck, and so I kind of mounted things in the drive-through,
Okay.
and then so people could take the order on with the funky TRS-80 keyboard, see the orders, see the lanes, the map to the cars, and it was. Again, some of the routines were in assembly language, so that it would be very quick. When somebody's order then was fulfilled, then it would shift everything over. I remember.
that's very sophisticated.
I know, right?
Yeah,
It was
right.
fun. Yes, I would hang out. I didn't own, like back when I was learning, I didn't even own a TRS-80, so I would hang out at the Radio Shacks, learn how to do it. And while I was hanging out, that's when like John Lennon died, right? It's just like so I learned a lot of my life experiences back then were during times at Radio Shack, learning to program these things. Anyway, so while I was working at the restaurant, then managing a restaurant, building things for the restaurant, inventory systems, things like that. And I was also moonlighting for other companies to create applications that would run on, like the Model 3 or the, or that 8-inch drive. You remember that in the Model 2?
Yeah.
It was Model 2. Yeah. And so building applications for a golf course and things like that, just kind of on the side. And then at one point, I decided, just quit my job. Go into this full time, start a business,
Cool.
things like that. And that was about 80, 81.
All right.
And then I lost my shirt. Man, things were lean, and I was married. So, really had some couple of lean years, and then got into kind of more consulting. That's about when the PCs came out. IBM PCs came out. I learned DBase and learned some other kinds of technologies back then. A technology called Framework. I don't know. Do you remember Framework? Ashton Tate Framework?
No.
No, that's all right. And so then just, kind of build a consulting practice.
All right.
That's cool.
And learning new skills along the way.
Exactly. Just kind of all and then I get tired of that life, because
Consulting.
consulting is a grind, right?
Yes.
And So then I hired in with EDS, worked there for 15 years, mostly in support of engineering, computing, scientific computing, and then factory floor kind of automation, things like that.
Nice.
In 2000, started an educational technology business. Went through that, sold it in 2008, and struck out on my own. Then again, like individual contributor, creating Java FX applications for companies, and then went to work for Oracle, and then Pivotal, and then now IBM. So that's kind of the
whole story.
Yeah, the whole story of the last 42 years. 42 years. Yeah.
That's nice, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So what do you want to know within that time?
All right. So there's a couple of questions here. Let's say Paul Weber says, "Great to see you, Jim." Hey, Paul, how you doing, man? So Paul, if I'm not mistaken, Paul is right now in Colombia because his wife is from. Paul is the leader of the San Diego JavaScript, right?
Okay.
So Paul is in Colombia right now. So with his wife, right? So Paul, I'm gonna arrive in Colombia next week, right? So actually on Monday, I'm there in Colombia. So maybe I can see there. So he's great to see you, Jim. And
Hi, Paul. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay.
he can hear.
Hi, Paul.
Hi, Paul.
So Mr. Worldwide here, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah, Pitbull's got nothing on you, doesn't he?
right, we all are, right? So Oliver says, "Hello, everyone. Greetings from Quetzaltenango.
Guatemala.
Greeting for somewhere in Guatemala, right?
Right.
It is great to listen to you. I'm learning a lot. So thanks a lot, Oliver. So good to see you here. So Oliver, Paul, Mimar, if you guys want, right? So join us here, so we can hear your story, right? So Oliver, I did send you your the link on Discord, right? So you can join us here. Mimar, I sent you the link also on Twitter, so you can join us here. Mario, I sent you a link to on Twitter already. Paul, I'm gonna send you right now if you can and want to join us here. All right, so back to you, Heather.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Hey, you got to slip another question in. Wow.
Right. So, well, I think one of the things that I was curious about is when I hear the story of how you started your career and how it evolved was you've had a lot of transitions in your career,
Yeah.
right? And you've evolved your career in that way. But what would you say to people who are going through transitions? Because I think now is a time when a lot of people are, either because of the pandemic or the current economic times that we're in. So people are, for whatever reason, either forced to make a transition or want to make a transition based on realizing things. Do you have any learnings from all those transitions that you had, or tips and advice that you would draw from your career?
So that's really general, right?
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
there would be no one size fits all
Right.
answer to that, but just
No, for you.
just some kind of, for me, and there's been so many situations that
Mhm.
it would be so there are different angles I could approach that from,
Mhm.
right? So one is always get into a situation where you can be passionate about what you're doing, because you don't, if you can help it, don't be unhappy. Don't consciously go into a situation or role where you're going to be unhappy, right?
Mhm.
Because you're trying to force fit into something, or you've kind of talked yourself into thinking, yeah, I can tolerate this for a while.
Mhm.
It's almost never, in my experience, it's almost never been a good thing,
Mhm.
right? It's always been more a situation where you have to tolerate that for a while, and then you're doing something else on the side that you can jump to.
Mhm.
But I think it's better to really think it through and kind of not be unhappy for these big periods of time, but rather find things that you're passionate about and do those things. For example, so one very real example is there is a trap that I've run into where I thought to, like at ADS, I thought to advance my career, and maybe it was true. I don't know. Back in those days, I thought I was going to have to take a management track, right? And through experience, I've found that I'm not real happy being a manager, right? And so I'm much more happy, and I've found this out over the last 20 years. It's bared this out that I'm much happier in an individual contributor role. So if given a choice then, knowing back then what I know now, I would have tried to stay in an individual contributor role.
Yeah.
Even maybe if the advancement wasn't so quick, and maybe the pay isn't as much, because then I could be passionate about and kind of be more suited for that role, right? Rather than be unhappy in management and then, then have to be so sick of it that I jump into, some role that that maybe is less desirable. Think it through.
Yeah.
Think through what you really can be passionate about. That would be one.
Yeah, that's good advice. Following your passions.
Yeah,
And
right. Yeah. So I don't want to come off as career hedonism kind of thing, right? To where you're, you know what I mean?
right.
To
Yeah.
where you're
Just do
you're
only
just-
what you want.
right. You're only following that's not the only thing that gets you, but if you can help it, don't get into something that you know that you're not suited for, because it's almost always worse when you
Right.
get there.
Yeah. And I think we talk about that in the book too, having a plan and a vision and a map. So that keeping in mind your passions and staying true to the plan and what your interests are.
Yeah.
I think, and that brings to mind what I wanted to highlight was one example that you mentioned in your transitions, and maybe ask specifically about that rather than generally now.
Sure.
So, you worked at Oracle, you worked at Pivotal, now you're at IBM. And as Bruno said when he introduced you, now you're the quantum computing expert,
Well,
right? Well,
developer advocate.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right. But so, how did that come about?
So that came about. I was just telling this story to bandmate Frank Greco, and so about 7 years ago at a Java 1 panel in which there were some James Gosling, there was a guy that invented TCP/IP. We were just talking about his name.
Bill Joy.
No, a guy that invented TCP/IP. Vince Cerf. Okay.
Yes.
And some others. They were talking about kind of the direction of computing, right? And this is about 7 years ago, and so he just kind of, offhand said, I've been looking at like Shor's algorithm.
Yeah.
Thinking that maybe that would be kind of a good thing, that could really, like quantum computing could offer some real kind of exponential kind of increases in speed of some algorithms, things like that. I had never heard of Shor, the algorithm. Hadn't really checked into quantum computing at all. But based upon the fact that Vincent Cerf said it, from I wikied it and just kind of followed the rabbit hole, fell into the rabbit hole, and became passionate about it, and then started. Actually, that was when I was working at Oracle and Pivotal. I started steering my career then toward that, working in quantum computing into my talks, like at Pivotal, right? So kind of educating my developer community, not only in Spring and Java, but also in quantum computing. And so then that led to IBM reaching out to me and saying, well, you're kind of doing the work of an IBM developer evangelist, why don't you, or advocate, why don't you come do it for us? You know? And so, yeah. So that was that. What was your question?
Yeah, like how did that come about?
That's how that came about.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how that came about. Yeah.
Right.
So let me just tell you guys one thing.
Okay.
We are recording that camera, and those people are there trying very hard to listen to us, right? So, and there's lots of noise around here. So we got to talk very loud,
Okay.
right? So everyone can hear us, right?
I'll talk to you
Can
guys.
you guys hear us?
Even our friend in the back that he doesn't want to hear us, he has to hear us.
Matt,
Okay.
Right?
Matt can hear us, even if he doesn't want to hear us.
Yes. So, yeah. So
Okay.
Matt, if you cannot hear, Jim, let us know. Right? Okay. So
Okay,
I've got some questions here.
okay.
All right. So, oh man, we got a question here for you. That it's gonna be the rest of the year. We're gonna answer that question now. All right. That's the whole book's gonna be answering that question.
Okay.
All right. So guys, I can see Basler is here, Mimar is here. So that's so great, right? So we're gonna interview you guys in a minute, right? So, but what I'm gonna do right now, if I put you here, you're gonna go in the stream. So here's what I'm gonna do for you two that are here. I will add you to the stream, but I want you to turn your camera off, okay? Because then you turn your camera off, then you don't show up in the stream, and then whenever it's time, so Mimar, you can just turn your camera off. So then you guys can participate a little bit here without having, so then, actually the camera showed off here. That's what I do not want. Okay, so now it's not going to show up anymore. Okay, good. Awesome. So Mimar, as soon as you turn your camera off, so then you guys can turn your camera on and off so you can show up when you want and disappear when you want. All right. Okay. So, Mario saying YouTube audio is great. Yes, it's great because we have the computer very close to Jim, but the guys here cannot hear us. But that's good. Thanks, Mario. Okay. All right. So, Hussein said, "Sir, how to get success in life?"
That's another general.
That's a very
Very general
very,
question.
how to get success in life. Well, I mean, it's a textbook question, right? So a textbook answer would be, well, first of all, success is the progressive realization of a worthy goal, right? So
That's
have
awesome.
have a goal, have goals,
Mhm.
and then progressively realize those goals through breaking them down and all those kinds of things.
Mhm.
That's one.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
Is it?
That's awesome, man.
Should I not spoil it by giving a less awesome answer?
No, you can give more specific answers, but I love that. I love that it's a successful realization of goals. That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, that's right. Yeah, maybe that's the best I can do.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Well, I think also with that, and one of the examples I think we talked about in this last story was talking about balance. So I think, Jim, you mentioned early on, when you were, thinking about your career when you're more younger in your career journey, your marriage was important to you.
Yes.
So I think you probably have a good story and example about balance as well. We talked
sure.
about that. And I think, you're one of the people, not the only person, but, whenever I see you, oftentimes you have your wife with you and
Exactly.
you make sure to include your wife. But any stories or around balancing
Balance.
in your career?
Oh, for sure. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I'm fortunate to will have been married to Julie for 47 years this November. And she's put up with a lot, because my career is very important to me, and translated is supporting the family. Yeah, it's very important to me, of course, but also just the content of what I do in my career. I love it, right? And so I probably won't ever retire because it's my hobby, right?
Okay.
I mean,
I got two questions too about that, but this.
okay, right. So it's very easy when you're driven by you're trying to support a family, right?
Mhm.
Because that's, it's kind of on you, right? The parents to make sure that the family is supported. But then if you add to that, you love what you do anyway, it's easy to then get way out of balance. And I'm preaching to the choir here, okay? Because I know both of you are passionate about what you do. You both travel a lot, so we're commiserating in this, right?
And I'm sure we both have had at some point in the past committed the sin of, ignoring the family and doing more
Exactly.
work. I'm sure we
Exactly.
did, right? Yeah.
Exactly. And you could justify that sometimes
Mhm.
by, I have to do that, right?
Right. Yes.
But in reality, I don't think it's ever really necessary to do that. You can rationalize it, but your process of rationalization is a lot of times a cop out to either mine. I'll talk about me. To either satisfy my desire to do the fun thing that I'm doing, or to overemphasize your need to provide. So, how much do you need to provide? Right? How much do you need in a 401k, for example? How much do you need to spend doing what you're passionate about, really, right? And so, as I've kind of gone through my career, I found that I don't need that as much as I did, right? And so it's like eating. It's like any other thing that brings pleasure, right? When you're talking about the joy that you get out of your career,
Mhm.
the first bite is the best, right?
Mhm.
And then after a while, it's just kind of a chore to eat, but you're doing it because you're still getting a little bit of a dopamine hit, right? Right. And so it's kind of the same with working. For me, I've found that I don't need to sit at a computer 8 hours, working on this problem. Why not try to do it kind of efficiently, prioritizing work, using whatever tools you need to do, like timers, or actually, if you've heard of Pomodoro timers, right?
Yeah.
25 minutes.
Yeah.
Mark Heckler, a good friend and colleague, I told him that I was using that method. He said, at our age, your bladder is the best Pomodoro timer. So just get up when you have to use the restroom and then make that a break. Am I being too self-disclosing?
No. It's
No.
a career story, right?
Right.
And I think, like I said, you're a great example of someone who has created balance, but yet you've had a lot of career success. So sometimes people say, like, if I want a family, or I want to have balance in my life for other things, whatever they may be, I can't be successful in my career. But I think you're an example of someone, you do have a balance in your life. You're not just working all the time. It hasn't been the fact that you're just working all the time that you've had so much success.
That's
You've been able to balance it.
That's true.
Yeah.
But there have been points where
Mhm.
I work all the time, travel all the time, ignore the family, to the point of, I'll say, sin.
Mhm.
It's just like, it's just not right. It's and so, but I found that that's almost never necessary,
Yeah.
because through some planning, prioritization, and being realistic about how much money you need, and about how much you really need to satisfy the desires of, like in my case, coding and things like that. Through some planning, you can actually attain that.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of, this is a success in life thing, the question that Hussein had.
Yeah.
One component of being successful in life, I think, is deciding what you're going to sacrifice, how much you're going to sacrifice, what you're going to give for that success.
Right.
And whatever it is that you say, that's what it will cost you, right? And so if you say, I'm going to work 40 hours a week or 35 or 40, whatever, and I'm going to devote this much time and this much energy and this much cost to something, then it just seems like the way that it's worked out is that's what life then requires of you.
Mm-hmm.
And you gain those benefits that you have said that you will, that you have agreed to with life,
Yeah.
And so you could say, I'm going to give all my, I'm going to spend 120 hours a week, and working and traveling, whatever. In the end, and somebody could say that, and then somebody could say, something, I'm going to give 35 hours a week of concentrated effort, and I'm going to, give family time and, balance it and think through it. Either will be successful. Either will get you the monetary and the pleasure rewards. It's just what the contract that you've given, right?
Mm-hmm.
That you've said, I will give.
Mm-hmm.
So why not give something? Why not agree with life? And I'm not getting, metaphysical. I'm just saying that it just kind of seems like this the way it works. Why not say, okay, I'm going to give this much to this much to this, time, effort, passions, things like that. And then you end up then with a more balanced life,
Mm-hmm.
still getting the things that you and your family need. Right. So that was a really long rambling, maybe kind of.
I think this is so important, Jim.
Yeah.
Really.
But you understand.
Yeah. You're speaking
no.
to success
I'm
and
speaking,
balance.
I'm speaking from the heart on what I found that works.
Right. So
Yeah.
I think this is so important, Jim.
Yeah.
That actually, on my, I wrote a book, a very short book, to help people go exactly through this process.
Okay.
Right. Because if you don't think about your whole life, people kind of just. I do have career conversations
Mm-hmm.
with developers. I have like 3-4 career conversations developed every week.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And so one thing that's very, very common for developers is that how many of them only think about their careers.
Yes.
Right. So, a question that I ask is, what are your goals, personal, professional, and financial? And those are just 3
Yes.
of the 10 that we talk on the book.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and when you ask those 3, most people get stumped because they only think about career.
Yeah.
Right. And so, and that's why people don't have life-work balance, because they're only thinking about work. So how can you have life-work balance if you're only thinking about work?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So, but what I want to tell you is that Hussein is asked a question about success in life. He said, "Thank you, sir. Love from Pakistan." Right. So,
I love back.
thanks
Love
a lot,
back.
Hussein. Good to have you here, man. All right. So, we do have, do you have more guests here, Heather? Because we do. I know Bazlur.
What time is it?
Yeah,
We're almost out of time.
out of time. So, is there anyone after us? Are you coming
Are
after us?
you gonna ask John?
Are those guys coming after us?
I'm gonna go. I was gonna go ask Josh.
Right. Because
but
here's
maybe I did, and I wanted Jim to think about, but we can talk about this later. Like
Right.
a community story where Jim, you feel like you made
Right.
some impact based on participating in the community. If you had anything you felt like because I know you have made an impact, but I'm curious if you had a story that it would be motivating to people who aren't yet engaged in the community.
Yeah, I think right. Okay, so this ties into career progression as well as impact on community, right? So actually the presentation I gave this morning on
Mhm.
Qiskit Blocks, that is a program that I wrote about 3 years ago. It's a Minecraft like program in which high school students, college students, adults, whatever, anybody that likes block world kind of Minecraft applications, like playing games, can then learn quantum computing concepts. And so, um, I wrote that, put it out on GitHub, and it's been a very successful, many times, downloaded, starred, forked, thing. But it's been very helpful for, I think thousands of people in learning quantum computing. And so, a lot of times people, like they ask you, right? They ask me, how can I get into X field,
Yeah.
right? What's the best way? And what I've always told them, because what has always worked for me, is to, first of all, make sure that you like X, right? And then if you like X, then you're naturally going to be like in coding, right? So some technology, then you're naturally going to want to write things in whatever that technology is. You're gonna want to build things if that's your passion. When you build things, give them to the public, right? Put them in GitHub, make them accessible to other people, because, and then, like blog about it, teach people how to use this thing that you built. And because the best way to learn something about X, right, is to teach it and build things in, build things that use that technology. And so that's kind of like Qiskit blocks. That's a prime example of it. And so I was working at, I did that while I was working at IBM.
Yeah.
But let's say that I was working somewhere else and I was trying to get into quantum computing, right? Then, just like I had talked about before,
Yeah.
where I was working for another company, getting passionate about quantum computing, I built a similar thing, only it was a musical application.
I remember that.
Yeah, it was a quantum toy piano, and so it helped me learn quantum computing. It helped me get exposure to where then someone reached out to me and offered me a job in that. So my advice then would be, if you're passionate about some technology, don't feel like just because you're new in it or you're new in the industry or whatever, you have way more power. You have way more influence than you think you do. Because if you create some application that people can use to have fun with it but learn about it, and you put it out there, then you learn, they learn, and then you become perceived as an expert in it, or at least someone that people can call to help them. And in the job market, the perception, if you're on the outside, the perception is, I can't get in, But if you're in a company and you're looking for people to fill a position that's an expert in this, you find that a lot of times you can't find those people. And so if you then connect with some open source project that you see that's really cool that somebody has built, who are you going to reach out to? You're going to at least kind of check them out, and then the other answer I was going to give to success is where preparation meets opportunity, right? So an opportunity presents itself because someone needed that. They see your project, and then all of a sudden you're working for that company, right?
That's great.
So
It's awesome.
did that address your question? Okay.
That's the interesting thing, Jim, because you mentioned about the perception, right?
Yes.
That people have from you, and so the perception that people have about you, that is reputation.
Yeah.
Right? That's exactly the definition of reputation. So, so reputation is what people think about you, believe about you. And if you don't show up, if you don't help others, if you don't present, if you're not visible, people don't know about that thing,
Right.
thing from you. So that's great.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the whole thing behind servant leadership,
Mhm.
which, you know, Heather and Bruno, you are both our poster children for servant leadership. You're both. Another person I think in that class is like Sharat. He's like, you know, a servant leader, right? And so that's the MO that you want to be, I think, right?
Awesome.
Yep.
That's great. Is that good?
Well, Jim shared so many stories.
So
with
many
us,
stories.
but-
Yes.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
I know he has so many more, but I think we've taken enough of Jim's time, and it's so
Awesome.
great to see you after so many years.
You too. And much success on your book.
Thanks a lot, Jim.
I do require a signed copy of
Okay.
your book when it comes out.
Right. Your name is going to be there, right? Until
Yeah.
we're going to choose some of those stories to be in the book.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks.
So,
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Bob. Yeah.
so actually, it's going to be the other way around. You're going to be signing the book,
There you go.
right? Because your story's going to be
Thank
there.
you.
Jim, thanks a lot, Jim.
See
So
you.
that's
See you
from
later
Barry.
today.
He left
Yeah, I
this.
saw that,
Right.
yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Definitely a love.
All right. So, so Heather, I'm not sure if we have anyone else here, right? That we're going to interview. I'm going to interview George. Right now. So,
Well, I was gonna interview Elder tomorrow, but I don't know if he's busy now. If he wants to be on the video and do it on the video, or just do it with me.
Whatever you prefer. But
What do you
before,
think?
But wait. So here's the thing.
Okay.
Before those people here are going to be here for tomorrow, and you can talk to them, right? But there are two people here with us online.
Okay.
There's two people here with us online.
Oh.
So
okay.
we got to interview them before because we're not going to be able to interview them later.
Okay.
All right. So I have Bazlur and Mimar. So let me put Mimar here also and Bazlur. Hey Bazlur, can you turn your camera on?
Hello, everybody. Firstly,
All right. So yeah, so we have Bazlur and Mimar with us
hello.
here.
Do you hear me? Hello,
So-
everybody.
I think I know.
I am
both
so
of you.
excited.
Is that right? I know both of you already.
Right. You know,
You do,
Bazlur is
you do.
participating on the Java Education Initiative. In the
Yeah,
JCP.
and I think so is Mimar, right?
Yeah,
Participating in the Java Education Initiative in the JCP, Mimar.
yeah. Firstly, I want to say it's a great honor to speak with you. I can speak briefly. I am so excited. I am so excited. My
So let me
career
help you-
path.
Let me help
Yeah.
Mimar a little bit here. So Mimar sent me all his stories written.
Yeah,
Right.
I know Mimar.
Yeah, so he sent all. So Mimar's from Turkey,
I met him there.
right? Yes, okay.
Right? We met in person.
Yeah. Of
Right.
course.
So he sent me all his stories here, right? So he says here that he prepared the first Java video in Turkish in 2008, right?
Yeah.
And so it was 5 DVDs in 150 hours.
Wow.
That's crazy,
Wow.
man. And thanks to this training, many people in Turkey got to know, loved, and learned Java. Thanks, man. So he loves Java. He produced content, and then he says here that, it's that he's very excited. It's a great honor to speak with you. So it's a great honor to speak with you, Mimar. That's awesome. So
Thank you.
I learned my life coding Java. I earned my life coding Java since 2001. I was invited to 10 countries. I gave more than 100 seminars. I talked to university and companies about Java. I wrote 5 books, published more than 500 hours of video course in Java technology. So thanks, Mimar. That's
Yeah,
awesome, man.
This is my first books. Java Server Faces.
That's
Ah.
nice.
Hey, this is Faces.
Wow, that's heavy.
Java Server Faces.
That's
This
good.
is with Java, Android, and Java. My third book. This is my first 40 Hibernate and Java. And
Right.
my 5 books Spring Framework and I want to continue at the moment. I will create with Java microservices and Java blockchain. It is like I will writing it. At the moment, I'm writing two new books for the
That's nice.
Java
That's awesome.
community.
That's
That's
really
good.
awesome.
That's awesome.
Thank
So,
you, sir.
what
Sir,
is
you my idol. You my idol. Thank you.
no, man? That's all good. That's all good. Thank you. Right, we are here for
Thank
you,
you.
right? So thanks a lot,
Thank
man.
you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. So Mimar,
Okay.
tell us
Thank you, sir.
how much you seem to have a lot of success in Java and Korea, right? So what is the message they want to leave for other developers?
Other developers, I have seen continued many other developers. So firstly, front end technologies, but backend technologies for the our my areas every time hardly not easy, and I am giving for the new developers. Uh, I have showing Java. Uh, I know Java not easy, but will be easy for the guide, and I am showing easy path every time, and writing and showing and seminar every time told that about the Java, and at the moment I want to say in Turkey 2000, 3000 maybe with me rise it and new developers, and every time I'm giving likely light and showing my information, and will be future very good.
Okay, it's awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
So
you.
much. All right, so
Okay. Okay, so I will go to thank you.
no, it's probably very late for
Yeah.
you, right? So what time is it right now?
At the moment, night 1 hour.
Okay,
Night
1 a.m.
1. Yeah.
1
Yeah.
a.m.
Yeah.
That's really
Thank
for being
you.
here with us.
Thank
Mimar.
really
Thanks a
late.
lot. That's great.
I love Java.
So
I love. We are my family. Thank you.
thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, so
Thanks.
you can stay around, right? So we can talk more. So, oh, he's gone. All right, so Baslur, it's also a guy. When I met Baslur, he was in Bangladesh, right? And he was always on the other side of the world. Every time we did anything, it was so late for him, right? So Baslur, what can you tell us about your story? So Heather, you were asking the question. I'm here. So Baslur is a recent Java champion, right? So he became Java champion how long ago, Baslur?
This year, I mean, 6 months ago, I guess. Not
Yes. All right.
not
So
for long.
tell us a little bit, right? So how did you become a Java champion? What did you had to do?
Well, a few things I'd say. I mean, first of all, it starts with passion, right? So I'm a very passionate Java developer. I've been doing Java for like over a decade. So I did a couple of things. First of all, I started Java user group back in home in Bangladesh, and I continued to, being a leader of the Java user group, doing a lot of sessions. Is my audio clear?
Yeah, you just talk a little loud. That's good.
Okay. All right. So yeah. All right. So I've been doing the Java user group thing for a while. I've been doing a lot of sessions, a lot of in-person sessions, online sessions. I also invite a lot of Java user groups leader and Java champion to my Java user groups, so that way I build a network first of all. And also I also did a lot of writings. I write on various blogs. It's InfoQ, Fuji, and many other platforms. And also I have my own blogging platform as well. So that's also contributed to the to become the Java champion as well. Apart from that, I also written a couple of books, in my native language, which is Bengali. One is here, I can show you. Um, so um, that's one. I don't know if you can see it. So that's one book, and I have written a couple of them, like four in total. Not all of them are here. So all of those contributed to the fact to become the, I guess, the Java champion. And it's more of a recognized by your peers, right? So you have to be a bit outspoken, so that if you meet a lot of people, see the other Java champions can see your work and your contribution as well. So that's, you can be an expert individually, you can work for a company for a long time. That's definitely amazing. It will give you a steady income as well. But then if you want to achieve some other things, for example, the honor that I have given, you have to be a bit outspoken. You have to be do networking with other people's community works, write stuff, also speak. I don't speak a lot, but I have started my speaking career recently. So but yeah, I love to write. That's the one thing that I keep doing, and I've been doing for a while. And that helps. Things. It could be any interesting technology you know that you can work with. But when you articulate that in a written form, that's that's where the challenge comes, right? You probably don't know a lot. You'll find a lot of things that you probably didn't know. So that's really important. You know things, but when you are going to teach something to others in other mediums, it could be speaking, it could be written form, but it's always challenging when you do that. So that's in fact force you to learn a lot of new things. So that's what happens for me. And meanwhile doing all of those things, I made a lot of friends. I made you in fact, all of you. So yeah, so that's how essentially I became, I guess, Java champion.
All right, that's awesome, man. Um, yeah, we just remove ourselves there, so because you're so eloquent, right? Just explain everything. Now, let me ask one question. All those things that you did, right? You share books, you presented and everything, and then I mean, you wrote a lot. You like to write. First of all, I do think for developers, right, writing is such an important skill, right? Because that's what we do. We write code, right? So if you write well, if you're able to write an article, for example, you're going to be a better developer, right? You're going to write code better. It's those two things are very linked in the brain, right? It's writing code and writing articles. They're very connected in the brain. But my question is to you, Basro, is you love to write, you love to do all these, you become a Java champion, but has any of that impacted your career? I mean, are you better off because of that? Is the effort was worthwhile? I mean, is there anything that happened to you on your career that you really say, man, this is awesome? You really helped me, or because that's the question I asked before, or all of these just a distraction, right? So what can you tell us?
Well, well, definitely not. I mean, the kind of opportunity I have received because of all of this, I've been doing. Uh, I could be a sole Java developer in some places, but how other people will know me that I'm the expert of this area. So a lot of interesting opportunity came to me because of all the things I do. For example, you mentioned a couple of things. Writings is definitely one of them. For example, recently I was reached out to write in InfoQ. InfoQ is one of the renowned blog tech content platform, right? So they even, if you write content, they even pay you. So I was reached out to by them because of all the things I used to do. So that's amazing. And now I write, I also get paid. That's an amazing thing, right? So that's one example. And also I get to know opportunities. For example, the current job I'm doing, I know about that job because I know someone who used to work on that company. We have been friends for a while, so he basically shared that information. There is an opportunity here. You can join here. So those are the things, you get to know about the opportunities, and sometimes opportunities come to you because you do all those things. Because if you are visible to the community, people see you and people started to trust you. And when you work, you want to be, someone want to give you a responsibility, they want to trust you first. Otherwise, it just they cannot give you the responsibility who they don't know, right? So that's why I would say these are really important. And I've been Java champion for like few months. So this also helped me in a way expanding my network. The person I used to follow, I used to look up to, I was not able to reach out them directly. Now I can do that. Hopefully that will help me in future to get more opportunity. But this is definitely helping me to expand my network. So yeah, I mean, all of them are awesome. I don't think these are distraction. These are very beneficial, and.
Okay, that's awesome. All right, so so I just want to quickly mention here, Hussein saying, please give me motivation to study. So Hussein, I cannot give you motivation, right? Motivation is that you have to look around, look at your family, man, look at your life, look at the things you want to do, right? You will have to build motivation by looking at your situation, right? There's two main ways, Hussein, to have motivation. One is looking forward to somewhere you want to get, right? To a happy place that you want to be, right? Those things that you want to become, you want to have, you want to grow in that direction, right? So look at the things that you want to be in the future. That's one way to have motivation. But another way to have motivation, Hussein, is where do you want to run from? So what are the pains in your life right now? What are the things that are hurting you? What are the things that are hurting your family? What are the things that are bad for you right now? Our brains love to run towards something, but our brains want much more to run away from the bad things, right? So run towards good things, run away from bad things. That's a great way for you to build motivation. All right, so Baslur, thanks a lot, man, for being here with us. Thanks a lot for taking the time.
Thank you. Thank you, both of you. Yeah, Bruno, and
we're gonna get out the stories. Yeah, we're gonna get out the stories. We're gonna put the stories in the book. We still don't know exactly which story is gonna make the book, which ones, right? But we want to put as many stories as we can. So if we think that we need more details, we're gonna reach out to you guys to get more details in the story. But thank you everyone for participating. Thanks a lot, Baslur. Thanks all the other speakers here before us. Before you, right? That was all great. And you want to finish, Heather?
Thanks for sharing your stories. All the amazing stories. We have even more people here in person that it would be great to include their stories, and we'll reach out to them. But I think it really just speaks to a demand for sharing this kind of content with each other,
right.
And people learning from it and learning from each other. We have so many people who want to talk about and share to help others in their careers. So that's been exciting today to see that. Yeah,
it's been great. So thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Great for having you here. We're almost 2 hours here talking with all of you.
Right.
Thanks a lot. If there's anything we can do, reach out to us. If you have stories that you want to share that you didn't have a chance to share here, send us on email or send me on Twitter. I'm BR Javaman on Twitter. Heather is Heather VC on Twitter, right? So reach out to us, and we're gonna talk to you and include your stories in the book. Okay? So a question I got today, Heather.
Yeah.
When does the book comes out?
Well, as soon as we finish it, it comes out. We need to stay on task. We need to follow all these advice we get here from these stories.
But I'm gonna tell you a goal, right? It has to come. This book has to come before the next Java one.
Yes.
Because we're gonna be here signing the book for Next Java One, right?
Absolutely. You can, if you want to get a signed copy of the book, you have to come to Java One. We know
Right.
that.
Yeah.
So we definitely will have it finished before then, before
Right.
the next Java One.
So Mimar saying we love you. We love you. Thanks a lot, Mimar. We love you too, man. All right. So thanks everyone. Great to be here with you. Reach out to us on Twitter because we're here for you. Okay.
Right, because we're not saving the chat. We don't know who was here and who indicated interest. So reach out to one of us
Right.
on
Yes.
Twitter. We won't necessarily follow up from the chat just now because once we end this, we won't have the chat anymore.
That's a very, very good point, right? I think most of the chat's going to be on YouTube forever.
Oh, we capture
But-
the chat.
Yes,
Okay.
but
Okay.
no, but Heather is right. We're not going to be looking at the chat.
The whole thing is
Yes.
2 hours. It'd be better if you want to be included or share your story with us.
Sent to us.
Send it to us. Contact one of us on Twitter.
Right.
Yeah.
Do like Mimar. Oh, my battery died. I was gonna show Mimar. Mimar sent me like 15 messages on Twitter.
Okay, we
With
have
all
those
the
on
stories,
Twitter.
right?
Okay,
So,
we gotta
yes.
get those. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I talked to my idol. It was a great night for me. Thanks a lot, Mimar. Thanks, man. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day, guys.
All right.
And for you, Mimar, have a great night. Thanks a lot.
Yes. Okay.
All right, okay. Actually, I got to do this, right?
What?
So, how about we do this?